The Power Surfacing RE add-in allows you to quickly open up scanned mesh files inside of SolidWorks natively. This can open up OBJ or STL. In this example, we've got a car body panel, and what we want to do is we want to go in and extract the surfaces from this mesh and turn it into a solid body and manipulate it as well. First step we're going to do is we're going to go in and edit the referenced mesh. What I'm going to do is at the minute it's got quite a lot of extra detail that I don't want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to delete just by clicking my mouse over it and then selecting delete on my keypad. I'm going to speed this up because there's quite a lot of mesh to delete, but essentially it's the same process the entire way through. So now we've just finished off changing our reference mesh. The next stage is we're going to generate a sub-D faces on top of that reference mesh. Now these sub-D faces, these are going to be used to help generate the end surface. And it's also going to allow us to manipulate our surface body if, for example, we ever wanted to make it bigger, smaller, or maybe change the size. Now what I'm doing here is I'm simply just drawing the edges, drawing the faces, drawing the sub-D onto the mesh. Notice how I'm trying to do relatively smallish faces. This is just because it helps me capture more detail. You'll see in a second that if there's a much larger section, like the rest of the panel, I'm going to try using much larger faces. This is mainly just for kind of speed purposes, makes me work faster, but also because there's less detail to capture, I don't necessarily need small faces in order for it to work. Each one of those purple dots, that is then attached to the reference mesh. So you can see that when I go in and drag any of those purple dots, it's still set on that reference mesh. It can't come away from it, it's latched on. It's a bit like dragging a point down a surface. Now you can imagine that if I were to do that all over the face, I'm going to be here all day. So luckily there's a few automated tools that make our life a bit quicker and easier. This one here is called Paint Face. Very similar to the Draw Edge command, but what we do is we just simply click and drag our mouse. And you can see here again, I've sped this up because there's a few to do. Very quickly we can go in and get lots of faces drawn on, and you can see they're a very quick and easy process. Now when you use the paint face command, sometimes the tolerances of it can be quite loose. You can see that there's a lot of gaps from where the edge of the headlight is to where the pink points are. At any point, if I wanted to change these, it's just a very simple case, highlight the pink point, and then I can just go in and either use the triad system to allocate it in the X, Y, or Z, or you can do a much more loose way of translating, which in this case I'm just translating in the X, Y, or Z, and just simply drag it closer. Again, remember that all of these pink points are locked to the reference mesh, so these can't pull away, they're always going to be set on that original scan. Okay, so far that's looking pretty good. We've got all of our outside edges. The next step is we're going to do the rest of the face. Now again, to make our lives quicker and easier, rather than just painting all of the faces, we have the Smart Fill command. Really simple to use. Quick double click and we can select the outside boundary, go into the Smart Fill command, and you can see within a few seconds it fills in that boundary. All of those extra sub-D faces, again, they're all locked onto the mesh. And again, we just do that same process, highlight the boundary, quick double click. There we go, that is our almost finished sub-D model on top of that referenced mesh. Okay, now at the minute, our sub-D overlay only has the pink points connected to the reference mesh. I want a much tighter tolerance here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the shrink wrap command. Now what this will do is it will tighten up the rest of the faces, this will include the edges, and it will apply points along each of the edge and it will tighten it up to the reference mesh. Once I've done this, we can then do something like a deviation analysis. What this will do is this will then show us a color map showing our sub-D overlay compared to our original reference mesh. And you can see that there are a few areas that are a little bit out. For example, here you've got a little headlight that has a little mounting bracket on the underside. You can see that's kind of thrown out our sub-D. There's a few bits along edges as well. If we ever encounter these, again, very easy fix. All I'm going to do is I'm going to simply remove it and I'm just going to redraw over it, making sure I miss that little extra bracket. Okay, so final step, created our sub D. Let's turn this into a surface. Easy as a tick. It's going in, patching those sub Ds, turning them into surface bodies. Now that is just a normal surface body. If we wanted to say remove material, add in a hole, cut, it's the same normal SolidWorks tools. Now, one of the powerful advantages of user power surfacing is that with that original sub D, we can also go in and manipulate the surface with that. So let's say, for example, with our puddle panel here, I wanted there to be an elongated version, maybe for some bigger wheels. It's just as simple as detaching our sub D from the mesh, and then using the triad just to go in and drag those points. Again, you can drag, rotate, you can scale. There's even mirror commands here to make sure you maintain symmetry. All I'm going to do here is a relatively simple change, just maybe elongate it, maybe pull that back end down a little bit, give it another tick. That then generates a brand new surface. And again, normal surface, so we can now use normal SolidWorks commands.